Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today we're talking about a very important part of anti-aging or healthy aging and lifespan and health span, and that is cancer prevention, more specifically, natural means of cancer prevention. Now, if you're not aware, in the United States, cancer will not only affect about 1 in 2 adults statistically, but it's also the number 2 killer in the country and almost number 1. It's very close to heart disease at this point. So cancer is on the rise and a very serious topic in the United States and frankly in most of the world too. So this is not just particular to the US. And when we talk about cancer prevention, I feel like we always hear about all the things that you need to avoid, right? Things that you want to avoid in your environment, avoid in your food and your water. And we want to avoid things like stress. But what you don't hear as much of are the things that you need to proactively do. It's not just about what you stay away from, it's about what you do. And primarily, when we talk about things you need to take action on, it's taking action on building the immune system. So it's wonderful to stay away from carcinogens. That's rule number 1, certainly. But rule number 2 should be build up your body's defenses. Make your immune system a powerful immune system so that even when it is dealing with cancer-causing agents, it can win that fight and that you don't succumb to it. And this is the case, by the way, for every kind of cancer out there. People often tend to think in terms of, are we talking about skin cancer or brain cancer? Any kind of cancer will be less likely or potentially less severe if you build your immune system up and really make it strong. So I'll give you just a few key takeaways on this topic. So when we talk about exercise as being a method of improving the immune system, I will tell you that there's a couple of downsides here because for one, you really do need to get the intensities and the time spent just right. With exercise comes a great need for the body to recover. And that doesn't just mean time between workouts, but it does mean getting the nutrition right and the sleep right and things like that. And in some cases, even supplementing as well to really get optimal recovery. So while I definitely do recommend exercise as a form of building the immune system, it can also harm the immune system. There are a lot of people who are exercising for too long at a time, too intensely, too frequently, or with poor recovery, and this actually increases their risk of cancer. So what I'm going to tell you is exercise is great. Just look into the right parameters. I certainly recommend you hire a coach and start finding out if you're really doing things properly to build the immune system. Now, a lot of people just plain don't like exercise or they will not make the time for it. They've got very busy lives, busy lawyers, etc., that are just working all day and that it's just not feasible. So in those cases, I like to shift over to some of the other things that you can proactively do to build your immune system and build up the fight against cancer and that don't take a whole lot of time and a whole lot of mental discipline. Now, one of those things is hydration, getting clean, healthy water and getting it in the right amounts each day. This is a big one. A lot of people are dehydrated. When you're dehydrated, you're indirectly increasing your risk of cancer simply because you're reducing your body's ability to function properly. Every biological process relies on water. When you don't have enough total body water in your system, some of those biological processes get a little bit sidelined. They don't work quite as well. And therefore, technically, you're at a little bit more risk of cancer, especially if you're in chronic dehydration where this is going on for months, years, or even decades, like so many people are. All right, let's get into a couple other topics before we finish up here. So I mentioned hydration. We've talked a little bit about exercise. Now let's talk about supplements and herbs and things that can be really helpful. Herbs such as astragalus or adaptogenics such as ashwagandha can be really helpful in helping to improve the immune system. And they're easy, they're simple, they're generally cheap and cost effective. These are really great things, especially for someone who's busy or someone who's not terribly disciplined. I like to get people on these kind of herbs to build the immune system. Another one I generally recommend is vitamin C in high doses. There's been so much study on high vitamin C being effective at helping to build the immune system and reduce risk of cancer, or at least reduce severity of cancer. I do, however, suggest that you find the dose that's right for you and make sure that you're not putting yourself at risk of kidney stones or anything like that. It's a little bit more common in men than in women, but there is that risk if you go too high on vitamin C for too long. So you'd want to stay on top of your blood work and urine tests and such just to make sure that if you're megadosing vitamin C, you're doing so safely. So some other things we can talk about here as well are deep sleep. Now, deep sleep I talk about in a lot of podcasts because it's so critical. Most people tend to figure if they wake up and they feel good and they got about 7 hours or more, that sleep is good. But what they don't realize is that if there's any light in the room at all, even though you're going to fall asleep, your brain still sees that light, ultimately as a chemical. And I know that sounds a little bit out there, but that's truly the way your sleep science works, is that if there is a light somewhere in the room, your sleep is going to be a little bit dampened. Your REM cycles are not going to be generally as effective, and therefore you're not going to get the restorative sleep that you deserve. Now, the same goes for people who are getting 7+ hours, but it's at different times each night. This is also not as good as you want it to be. If you're serious about cancer prevention, then what I'm going to recommend is that you try to adhere to the same exact bedtime every night, weekends or weekdays, whatever, same bedtime and same wake time. Now, speaking of healthy sleep, sleep is a very good time to block out any kind of EMFs or RFs or any sort of electromagnetic fields that could be coming into your bedroom. Because when you're sleeping, frankly, your body, it's ultimately in a more sensitive state, it's in a restorative state, and it wants no interruptions while your body's trying to heal and recover. So one very important thing that I recommend is that first you block out any EMFs. There's all kinds of tools that you can use. There's canopies you can use to put your bed inside that'll block incoming RFs and EMFs. There's also other tools that you can use if you have any coming up. Let's say you're on the second floor, you can actually put down a flooring or a big mat underneath your bed, and that'll block EMFs that are coming up from downstairs potentially. There's all kinds of things you can do to block the windows, etc. Reach out to me and we can talk a little bit about your situation and come up with some solutions. But definitely blocking EMFs and RFs is going to be important. You can certainly shut off your Wi-Fi at night too, since you don't need it while you're asleep. Now, another thing I'm going to recommend is something called PEMF. I've spoken about this in previous podcasts, but PEMF, you can get, this is the electromagnetic fields from the earth that you'd normally get if you're outside touching the grass or the ground outdoors. You can get this while you sleep. I've got in the description here in this video some affiliate links to the products that I use from Amazon, where you can get a PEMF pillow, a PEMF sheet, blankets, and everything for your bed, so that the whole time that you're sleeping, not only are you getting deep sleep, but you're getting even improved, reduced inflammation and all kinds of benefits from electromagnetic fields from the earth while you're sleeping just by using these few devices. So we'll wrap up with one final piece of advice in terms of natural cancer prevention, and that is have fun. If there's one big proactive thing you can really do for yourself in terms of preventing cancer, it's just getting out and laughing and having fun. I know that sounds, again, a bit like pseudoscience to some people. They don't really understand the mind-body connection. But truthfully, in some cases, disease or having prolonged disease is really something of a subconscious choice. And if you're enjoying your life and you're laughing and you're having those moments where you just feel like everything is great and there's not a problem in the world, that's one of the best things that you can do for your psychology and certainly for your physical health as well. So anyway, everybody, if you've enjoyed this video, if you feel like you've gotten any value from it, please be sure to like and subscribe so I can keep these videos coming to you. If you do have questions or comments for me, please comment down below. I'd love to get your feedback about how this video may have helped you or what topics you think I should be covering in the future. And of course, if you'd like to get my help or the help of another perfect personal trainer or a health coach, just let me know either in the comments or you can call me. My phone number is in the description. As always, I'm looking forward to your health and your wellness success.